All AI algorithms are roughly the same. It's the data that makes them different. So make sure your data is clean and prepped before you kind of run down the rabbit hole. And AI is a good example where AI can solve problems that would be very difficult to solve otherwise.
How organizations can balance their spending on AI and sustainability collectively?
The key is to align sustainability initiatives with the business objectives so you create a win-win. And again, look at things holistically.
Hello everyone, welcome to BetterTech. So today we have Rolf with us. Hey Rolf, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to our chat.
Absolutely, same here. So Rolf, before we really dig into the topic today, why don't you go ahead and tell a bit more about your personal journey, how you are where you are today?
Yeah, interesting. So I started out many years ago as a programmer. So I was an operating system device driver programmer, coder, and this is back when you used to have to like build your code and like compile it and wait overnight and get your results and so on. And I got frustrated with that process, and my office mate and I complained enough, I think, to the boss that he gave us a couple of workstations and said, if you think you can build a better environment, go ahead. So we ported over some cross compilers, and the next thing you know, we were running our own little data center because ours was faster and it ran quicker and it was more user friendly. And essentially, the next thing I know, I was in IT. So I haven't looked back. I spent most of my career leading tech in a number of different firms. In life sciences, in tech firms, in manufacturing, in software, in a life sciences company, in a e-commerce retail company. So kind of all over the size and business. But the common theme has been business transformation focused around technology. So I've been a kind of quote unquote transformational CIO.
So, I mean, you mentioned that you started as a programmer and then you graduated yourself to be a CIO, CTO. How's the journey been? I mean, what sort of transformation you can see that you have seen in yourself, and how did it all happen?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I have 4 children, and my youngest daughter just graduated college with a degree in math and data science. She's got her first job as a data analyst. And one of the things I told her that I think helped me in my career is be curious, talk to people, find out don't just do the task you're assigned, but like spend time with the business, spend time with, different people in different functions. And that's essentially what I did. So my path out of kind of coding and into, applying technology to solve business problems was due to curiosity, spending time with the business and so on. And so, I moved obviously first into a manager role, then a director role, and a senior director, and ultimately a CIO role. But the theme all along was, hey, how can I help users? How can I understand what people are having trouble with and make their job easier?
So the topic today we have, that's under discussion is basically the role of AI on sustainability. So before we really, take a deeper dive, what, in your opinion, is sustainability?
So people define it in different ways. So I like to take a holistic view. So there's the carbon side of sustainability that says, hey, how can I use fewer resources, maybe create less waste in the environment. There's the people side of sustainability. How do I ensure I have an ecosystem of I'm developing people? Those people have a rewarding, fulfilling role, and they want to continue to work, and so on. And there's the broader part of sustainability that says I can operate in a broader ecosystem, so not just I am succeeding, but others are succeeding around me. And I tend to favor that broader term, that broader definition of how do we create essentially a better world where everybody succeeds. We use resources in a thoughtful and renewable way. And we effectively create positive outcomes across the board. I think I've become more informed and more aware. I think initially I had a fairly narrow view of sustainability, either looking at the kind of economical side of it or the resource consumption side of it. But I think I see a broader piece. I view it more broadly now as a broader ecosystem. So for instance, technology, right, is a very powerful enabler for sustainability. Companies like Lumentum, where I was CIO, or HPE, where I was CIO, I've seen firsthand how IT can drive efficiency, reduce waste, optimize resource usage, optimize the people workload. We can do a better job of measuring, managing, seeing impact, seeing the second and third order consequences of some of the choices we make. So for instance, at Lumentum, we use data analytics. We optimize our manufacturing processes using data, which help reduce energy consumption, material waste, scrap, and so on.
So there is also something which is called sustainability transformation. So what is that? And do you think that within that transformation there is going to be a key component in the form of AI there?
So a sustainability transformation, especially with AI involved, requires, again, this holistic approach to a more holistic of approach than a typical IT transformation. Typical IT, you look at the enterprise stack, you look at a narrow set of tools or processes, and you're basically transforming, say, a supply chain or your order to cash cycle or quote to cash or something like that. In a sustainability transformation, you really have to look more broadly and often outside of the company as well. Where does your power come from? Where does, how do you partner with shipping and logistics companies? It's not just about upgrading systems or changing process. It's about fundamentally changing how the business operates. The key difference is the need for cross-functional collaboration across every part of the business. And as I said, often very closely with people in operations and finance, marketing, and ultimately people outside of the company as well. Your shipping partners, your manufacturing partners, you go to market partners, and so on. And it also, AI adds another layer of complexity, starting to look at things like skills, ethical considerations, to ensure that the solutions are not only effective, but also transparent, fair, and ethical.
So with the help of sustainability, I mean, how do you think it's going to affect the growth as well as the operational efficiency and, I mean, other factors of making a business successful? How IT can be a tool to make that happen?
Yeah, so IT can be a powerful catalyst for both sustainability and business growth. By leveraging technologies, like IoT sensors paired with AI, we can optimize resource usage, reduce waste, improve velocity, improve margin, improve efficiency. Smart building systems are a good example of that. You can reduce energy while improving employee comfort, improving employee productivity. The key is to align sustainability initiatives with the business objectives so you create a win-win. And again, look at things holistically. And AI is a good example where AI can solve problems that would be very difficult to solve otherwise. So in a typical transformation, you might optimizing a supply chain is a lot of activity with a lot of data, very, very large amounts of data. You can use AI to do things like optimize transportation within transportation logistics in a way that would be very difficult to do with traditional methods, for instance.
So budgets are also very, very important for any business. I mean, businesses need to manage their budgets. They have to control their costs. So how organizations can balance their spending on AI and sustainability collectively? I mean,
Yeah.
the organizations have to take initiative. They have to be ahead of the competition in terms of both tech as well as their efficiency. So how come these two can help achieving these objectives in your opinion?
Yeah, I would say right now, I think many people are starting to talk about a sort of AI bubble forming. So I think a lot of people have a FOMO, a fear of missing out strategy as it relates to AI. So they're pursuing AI initiatives. They feel like they need to because they don't want to be left behind or perceived as being not innovative. But many of these AI initiatives aren't connected directly to business value. So the key is you have to look at your organization and technology spending, AI spending, and align to the strategy and values of the company. And if your AI initiative is simply, a general productivity booster, we're going to use, an AI copilot to improve the productivity of a bunch of workers. That's not specific enough. It's not connected enough to a corporate strategy or corporate value generation. So, what you really want to make sure is that you're balancing, you're looking for opportunities where they directly support your goals, not indirect, I can be more efficient in onboarding, or I'm more productive in creating marketing materials, or more productive in doing something else. But look for opportunities that specifically touch on corporate strategic initiatives where AI can have an impact. There is where you want to, and again, don't go all in, right? Don't put all your money on one square. It's about start small, scale up, begin with a pilot project with clear, measurable objectives. Ensure you have the right data infrastructure in place, because data, all AI algorithms are roughly the same. It's the data that makes them different. So make sure your data is clean and prepped before you kind of run down the rabbit hole. And focus on building internal capabilities, skill building of the people using it. Don't just throw a tool over the wall and expect that marketing or sales or somebody is going to just figure it out. You really need to retrain. It's a mindset change. So you have to think about people's mindset of how to use an AI tool, how to use a chat prompt differently. That allows you to maintain control over your AI initiatives, ensures they align with your specific sustainability goals, and that you've got a way to measure how successful those are, before the cost ramps too directly. Refactoring, continuing to complete the refactoring out to cloud allows you to get rid of some of the on-prem overhead that can be very inefficient. I think really taking a strong look at e-waste cycles and looking at a circular supply chains is another, I think, important trend. Understanding your technology consumption and disposal cycle, getting longer life out of certain assets like laptops, upgrading components versus upgrading the whole device. Things like that are giving more efficient, less waste, and more cost-effective ways to achieve outcomes. I think looking at even things like code. So coding something in a high-level language like Python may be as many as 10 to 20 times less efficient than coding in a lower-level language. And so understanding, obviously for prototyping or doing quick stuff or whatever, that's fine. But if you have some piece of code that's running regularly, that's running at the core of your business, consider running a compiled language that's a lot more cost-effective in terms of its CPU use and cycles. People are doing other things like relocating data centers to area. So it used to be you put your data center closest to the fiber optic network because you wanted low latency and high bandwidth. Increasingly, people are now putting data centers close to the power. Where can I get cost-effective power and cooling? Because data is now more or less ubiquitous, and it's the power and cooling that ends up driving a lot of cost. And particularly if I can get it to a near sustainable power source. We've even seen Google come out with an announcement around small nuclear power for their data centers, and of course Microsoft talking about buying 3 Mile Island to power its AI data center.
Towards the end, in your opinion, what are some of the changes that the companies have to make within their teams, their culture, so they are enabled to successfully adapt the AI-driven sustainability effort?
The first place you start is with culture. You need to foster a culture where employees are empowered to propose and implement sustainable solutions, really involve the whole company. Leadership needs to set clear sustainability goals. Needs to integrate those goals into the overall strategy. So a friend of mine at Dell says Dell describes their sustainability strategies ESG OMG, and where OMG is objectives, measures, and goals. So you don't have to buy in, if you will, to sustainability. You don't have to be a believer, but you have to deliver because it's in your goals. And so by setting clear goals, driving behavior, engaging a broader part of the workforce, you can begin to shift to that to that kind of culture and that kind of thinking. And it's really important that you establish cross-functional teams, because you need to bridge the gap on most of these things. You can't do these in silos. And lastly, I think Imperial College Business School from Imperial College of London has come out with a study that shows that companies that focus on corporate sustainability have substantially greater shareholder returns. So this conversation about, is this a do-good initiative versus a business initiative, the data seems fairly compelling that companies that do well in sustainability do well financially. It's interesting. I think there's this idea that a startup, we're so busy. I've heard the term waste everything but time, because we've got to go achieve product market fit, or we've got to hit scale, or we've got to capture users. The problem with that level of thinking is you're creating you're creating a mess that you then have to clean up later. If you clearly you want to move with speed and agility and flexibility as a startup, a early stage startup, but there's no reason you can't do that within a culture of a resource scarcity. So consider you worry about things like burn rate, right? So why can't you always also worry about things other resources, the burn rate not just of cash but of energy and of e-waste and things like that as well. So I think living and establishing a culture that's focused on frugality and sustainability from the core can be done at any stage of a company.
Before we close, Ralph, any closing remarks from your side?
Yeah, I think I mentioned a couple of times along the way. I think a big part of things is a mindset. I also think there's this tendency that people feel like, oh, it's not my job. I'm not in charge of sustainability. There's somebody else doing that. And the two comments I would make is, one, it's all of our job, right? And so there's this old adage I like to quote. If you want a seat at the table, then pull up a chair. Right? If you want to be involved, if you think you should be doing something about it, then have a point of view, step up, volunteer to get involved, and begin driving that activity. And if you're adding value, no one's going to ask you to leave the room. If you're adding value to the conversation, to the company, you're doing good work. That work is going to be appreciated. And then the only other comment would be, there's no good time to start, and there's no bad time to start. So people will say, oh, I can't start my AI project till I clean my data, or I can't start my sustainability project until we've solved our tech debt problem or what have you. But you can begin thinking and operating in a different way immediately. It's a matter of just changing mindset, and changing mindset doesn't require, a major transformation initiative. It doesn't require a large investment. It just requires a different way of thinking.
Right. Sounds great. Yeah. So Ralph, again, very much, it was very insightful. And thank you very much for making the time today and speaking with us about this exciting topic. I hope that we get you back sometime on a very exciting and new topic. So until next time, thank you very much and stay safe.